everything that we do as a company, whether it's for factories, insulation, scaffolding, anything else, we always have a technical approach. We always like to provide a value-added solution for our clients. The first thing that we did for this project was to engineer a design that would fit with what they needed to accomplish in the restoration project and provide a safe access solution for the ship.
When we first got involved with the U.S. Navy, their challenge really was how to move forward, and they needed some advice from people in the industry, scaffold industry.
Our engineer team got together with the Navy and talked with them, what do you want to do? Well, how much do you need from each step? You know, how close do your employees have to get to the boat?
And we work closely together, Zampell Engineering and Universal Manufacturing Engineering, to come up with a scaffold plan and a material list to present to the U.S. Navy so they could actually put this out for bid. It was a huge relief, relieved a lot of anxiety for the U.S. Navy, and that's really a value-added service that we provided for this project.
Because we are integral in designing a new system that uses system scaffolding, I think they saw us as a great partner to actually execute the job.
Last time the ship was scaffolded was the restoration in the 90s. The U.S. Navy performed the scaffolding task themselves.
I think the biggest thing that Zampell brought to the table that the Navy didn't the first time they built the scaffold was the engineering and the planning. I think we did a great job executing, and we got the job done within the time allotted.
Scaffold has become a professional trade as opposed to an afterthought in construction. They had built their own staging in the past. They do their own staging on smaller projects, and it wasn't taking anything away from how they approach their work, but they're craftsmen, and their craft is to restore the USS Constitution. We're scaffold builders, and that's what we did. We set out to build a scaffolding for the U.S. Navy to reach every inch of that ship.
From the keel to the top rail, and then all the way from the bow to the stern where the captain's quarters are.
We set out to build a staging that everyone was going to feel comfortable working off of so they can do their job at the best way they possibly can do.
The overall scaffold was 230 feet long, 65 feet wide, and 45 feet tall. Not a tall scaffold, but a very long scaffold.
We use system scaffold, and that allows us to be very adaptable to a variety of different shapes.
We can modify it, change it, keep everybody safe, keep the integrity of the scaffold with the system scaffold that we chose.
We have multiple stair towers around the scaffold to make it easier for the guys to get onto the scaffolding and make it less labor intensive.
We used about 250,000 pounds of scaffold, which is ridiculous.
Steel products, wood products. There was quite a bit of work there.
All installed by hand. We did have help from the Navy. They used their cranes to drop all the scaffold into the dry dock.
It cut down on the manpower we needed, and it allowed us to bring all the inventory that we needed down into the dry dock and put it in place.
And it helped us make our job easier. We were able to turn the scaffolding over to them a lot sooner than they were even expecting, which helped them get a jump start on the job.
The system scaffolding that we use comes from Pennsylvania. It's by a company called Universal. It's only fitting that you're doing a job for the U.S. Navy with American-made scaffold. So a lot of the scaffold you find nowadays comes from overseas, and it's nice to have us, a nice local manufacturer out of Pennsylvania that supports us.
We used at the maximum 12 guys on any given day. Average probably a little less than that. We averaged probably around 9 guys. To eliminate some of the crew that we had figured was we used a conveyor.
And the conveyor was a unique situation because we were able to take that from another business unit, put it into the dry dock, and move the equipment around at a pretty safe and speedy way.
I didn't notice how helpful it was until we lost it for maybe a couple hours, and we needed to get a line of an additional 4 guys just to get stuff from one end to the other.
It just was a really nice tool to have access to, which we typically wouldn't, and most scaffold contractors don't.
Even though we built it for them to access every part of it, a lot of the work is discovery. Sometimes they need things out of the way to fix the ship.
They're going to have us come in there and modify the scaffolding as needed, as different tasks take place on the ship. One of the tasks is they're taking all the copper off the bottom of the ship, which is all copper sheets.
I think it's 20 millimeters thick there. It's fairly thin, and it's about a 1 foot by 3 foot sheets. Once they get that off, then they inspect the wood. And they don't know what they're going to find until they get the copper off. But they did have some specific areas that they had to get at the bow, because the bow was literally about to fall off, which we gave them access the first week and a half we were on site. We built the bow all the way up. We built it 100%, toe boards, handrail, midrails, a stairwell. We gave them access so they didn't interfere with the rest of our work.
When the project's done, we'll have to drop the scaffolding, which is going to be a big project in itself, and then lift it all out of there and ship it out.
That's the other half of the project, and sometimes that could be challenging, more challenging than the actual installation.
One of the big challenges was the shape of the ship. The ship is different shapes, it's different angles.
The contour of the ship itself and the hull, the way the dimensions worked, there was no straight lines, everything was curved.
There were usually 2 or 3 different curves that we had to deal with at a time, and you really had to wait till you got to the spot to figure out what you were going to do there. Everything was adjusted as we went.
All the drawings, they show nice views, and it looks all nice and simple. Once we got on site and we started actually building it in a small scale, and we think we used every size that we have in our facility, from a 3-foot all the way up to 10 foot, instead of just saying, you know, this being the same thing repetitive, and that's a lot easier. Where this, every bay that we built was different.
You look at trying to scaffold a 200-year-old boat, it's got all kinds of things you didn't plan on. You know, how they shored it up in the dry dock with the big wooden beams and everything that they had. In some ways, the plan was there, but the plan also went out the window just because we had to adapt to what the Navy needed.
It's something we're used to. It's something that we deal with every day. The guys in the field, it's something they're accustomed to, and they're able to make changes as they needed to. We do a lot of scaffold builds and boilers, a lot of different type of vessels. We've done work down in on Navy submarines, so we're used to odd-shaped structures.
We get into areas where it's very difficult, in very tight areas, in very intricate areas to scaffold. Our scaffold builders are very experienced, kind of navigating special shapes.
If you're a competent scaffold person, you can make design changes on the fly. You know, we're very, very good at doing that, at building, you know, very strong, very secure scaffolds for a variety of applications.
This was something that was unique and different, and we were the perfect contractor for this job.
Every morning at 8 o'clock, they basically did colors. They would put the flag out. Everybody would stop for the playing of the national anthem.
The first time that happened, no one knew what was going on. Nobody warned us about it, so after a while it just became routine.
There was a challenge knowing that we had to get done by a certain time so that they could open the ship up for tours, you know, so that's a big part of what the Constitution Museum does. I think the enormity of the project is beyond the 250,000 pounds of staging that we put in the dry dock. I think it really goes to the sensitivity of the project and how that we were building around a structure that was a couple hundred years old. It was a piece of history that I was able to get involved in and be a part of. That's a pretty unique thing, and I'm proud to be a part of that.
The whole entire crew really, especially at the beginning, really was in awe of the ship. When you're down at the bottom, looking up at a ship that I believe was built in 1797, I think.
Of all the work we've ever done, that's got to be number one, because it's the U.S. Constitution.
It was such an honor just to be part of this restoration project. It was unbelievable just to kind of go down and just be underneath the ship and kind of feel that history up close, and all, you know, just to think about what that ship has gone through in the last 200 years.
It was really a team effort for Zampell. And that's really the Zampell way of doing business. It, you know, from the sales, engineering, operations, safety, the scaffold builders on site, the ownership, and Universal Scaffolding, Universal Manufacturing. It was really a team effort to make this a successful project for us. I'm
really proud of everyone that contributed to this job and everyone that's contributed to our success in scaffolding. I think we have the best people in the business, and we couldn't do what we do without them. This is very complicated, difficult, dangerous work that we do very, very well, very, very safely. Something that we're all very, very proud of for how we execute jobs.
I'm proud of my people every single day, but no more or less for this project, but just, you know, it's just a great thing for them and us. This is a very unique opportunity for our company to go out and do something that it's captivated by thousands of people all the time.
The whole entire job has been a lot of exposure for Zampell. everybody in the scaffold industry in this area knew we were doing it.
You know, we do a lot of complicated jobs every day, and they don't get this kind of recognition just because it's not the USS Constitution. So it's a nice thing for our employees, it's a nice thing for our people to have a project like this.
This is a high-profile project for the U.S. Navy and a high-profile job for us. We've got nothing but compliments from the construction team that's on site, from the management from the U.S. Navy.
We've been recognized as an Eagle Award winner for ABC Massachusetts.
It meant that we had achieved something that was recognized by a very important organization in Massachusetts for merit shop contractors. Not sure how many scaffold contractors have been awarded that project, if any.
We're going to be on the cover of Scaffolding magazine.
Which is basically this magazine that covers the whole scaffold industry across the United States. We're going to have an article in there.
So there's a lot of great attention for this project.
This job represents Zampell and how we approach our business every day. You know, we focus on safety, craftsmanship, we take care of our employees, and we are proud to work here and get a job done that was really unique and special.
Our company was founded on craftsmanship, and the U.S. Constitution was built upon craftsmanship. Next year, we're going to celebrate 50 years in business. We couldn't have planned that if we tried to have that kind of project under our belt to celebrate 50 years.